So we're going back to our roots on this album, you know, but in order to do it, we had to go to Virginia and get away from home.
Right. Just kind of change it up a bit. And just kind of refresh the...
Well, no, we had to get the band away from home and away from all the responsibilities.
Right.
You know, because let's face it, most bands, their best albums are usually their first couple albums when they're young.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So the reason is when you're young, you don't have all those responsibilities of bills and kids and homes and dogs and all this other stuff.
Right.
And as you get older, you obviously, you know, you're more responsible.
Right.
But that responsibility takes away from your ability to
Your
just
creativity, kind of.
be creative and footloose and fancy free and crazy.
Right.
So what we did is we decided for the first time, before we even went in the studio, like we did on Forevermore, we just went in the studio cold turkey with no material. We decided that we would go somewhere and actually just work on songs and jam and write ideas without any recording or anything. Just be a band with no responsibilities for a couple weeks and crank out ideas and touch on our roots, you know, like on this song Ricochet, you know, we talk about, the song itself is about just being in a rock and roll band and reliving the old days, and we mentioned Uncle Ted in there, you know, and I tap into my Rudolph Schenker rhythm chops, and so it was great to get away, to do the writing of the record.
Right. I should probably back up and say this is Kat Stevenson with BAM Magazine, and I'm lucky to be sitting here with Frank Hannon, and he's sharing some wisdom about their upcoming album. Working title is Simplicity, right?
Simplicity is one of the titles that we're kicking around because, again, like we had to go away to get away from all the responsibilities. You know, we all strive for simplicity in our life, but one of the lyrics in one of our other songs that we have, which I'll play for you, it's called MP3. The lyric is, "Oh my God, it's taken me from the phonograph record to the MP3. It seems to me we got to get back to simplicity because everything is so overwhelmed with technology, right? So that's the concept of the song. So I thought Simplicity was a cool title because I'm looking for a one-word title.
It's a broad enough term to where it's not only just about, it covers a lot of different territories, like you were saying, with your lifestyle, keeping life simple.
I want a one-word title, and we don't want to have a song that's an album title. Like Ricochet would be a cool album title.
That would be cool.
It hasn't been decided yet.
But still a work in progress.
It's a work in progress, yeah.
Cool. So now, for you guys recording albums, I mean, how much is it? I mean, how much does it change for you? Just like all the technology, as opposed to how it used to be. I mean, having to make like a cassette tape or. Well, is it that much different, or
it's really not that much different than. No, wait a minute. I take that back. It's totally different in a sense that we don't rely on anyone now. We're completely independent. This is our own studio. With a computer now, you can make your own CDs. Right. Where it used to be, you had to dub onto a cassette tape or whatever. Right. Pretty soon, I guess CDs are going to be gone. I don't know, but I hope not.
Seems like it's kind of going that direction. I mean, I think that's probably up to.
But either way, you can still put your own MP3s or WAV files out on the internet, and what's different is it in some ways it has allowed anybody to make a record, whether they can play an instrument or not. So it's kind of flooded the world with a million musicians that aren't really even musicians. But then on the other hand, it's forced us to. The only way you can really get your music out there is to play live and go do shows. I mean, we sell CDs at our shows now. Right. We don't even. There's no record stores hardly anymore.
Right. It's almost like a novelty in a way.
Yeah. So in order for people to get a Tesla album, they got to come to the show, and Tesla has always been a live band. Right. So.
And you actually released a single that was on iTunes. What was it? I'm trying to remember.
Taste My Pain.
Taste My Pain. That's
Yeah, Taste My Pain. It was sort of a test for us to see how people our fans would respond to iTunes and the whole digital. Because let's face it. I mean, everything is. You don't have to go to Tower Records anymore. Right. You go to the computer.
Right.
to get your music, or your iPhone.
I don't even think there is a Tower Records anymore, is there?
I don't think there is. There's not even a Virgin Records anymore, is there? Is there Virgin anymore?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think everything like that's pretty much kind of fallen by the wayside or about ready to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So now, for anybody who's starting out, like the younger guys, where do you get all the? I mean, how do you learn all this stuff, like the technology, the computer? I mean, because Pro Tools is a huge program. I mean, how do you learn that stuff? How did you guys learn it?
You learn it by just jumping in and just getting around it from other people.
Mm-hmm.
You just learn from other people, exposing yourself to going down to the music store and talking with other musicians, meeting other musicians. For us, we started off on reel-to-reel tape machines, and we met a person like Ronnie Montrose, who was already... And I always think I go back to the word elders. You learn from your elders. You know, so we have on our label, we have some younger artists that are learning from us, and it just the knowledge gets passed down. That sort of thing. We learn from older people, and we have our own label. Brian has his label. I have my label, and we are nurturing younger artists and trying to teach them how to do it. It's just exposure. You just have to be exposed to it.
Do you think that, I mean, just your experience of doing that, just from coming up and like listening to your elders and then getting into the technology and having to learn all that, do you think it's actually, has it like broadened your creativity? I mean, have you noticed a change in the way that you make music as far as how you think about it and or the kind of songs you write? Well,
yeah, you learn over time. You learn a lot to be independent, and in that independence, and in the experience, you've kind of learned what to not do. If there were some things that I could change about the past, it would be I would leave some stuff out more than what I put in. And there's just nothing that can be said for hindsight being 20/20 vision. You learn how to simplify. You learn how to make songs and music that's less complicated and easier to more enjoyable to listen to.
It's like the whole music industry is going through a huge transition, right? I mean, as far as like the digital part of it coming in and then all the different genres coming in. And one of the things that we had talked about was that since it is a transition right now, it's like now this is like a perfect opportunity for the guys and musicians who have been doing it, have a wealth of experience to be able to kind of almost guide the future, like the direction that things are going to go. And a lot of people, because I ask people, what do you think the direction? And it's like we don't know, but
direction as far as the style of music.
Well, I mean, just as far as like with everybody kind of producing their own music and then getting more away from the record label thing like that and having to do your own business and that kind of thing, just that it's kind of like being put back in the musician's lap as opposed to the industry's lap.
No, absolutely. I mean, like I said, anybody can make a record because the tools and the technology are just available. I mean, I was joking around with a friend of mine who's an older musician where it used to be so difficult just to get a replacement part for your guitar, a little knob. If you broke the knob on your guitar, you couldn't even get that.
Right.
Now you can go to a music store and you can get a whole lighting system. You can get Pro Tools, computers, mixers, microphones. I mean, everything. I mean, guitar centers are like a Safeway. I mean, if you want to, go get a loaf of bread, or you can go get a Les Paul. Whereas before, finding just a Les Paul was difficult.
Right.
So it's readily available, and anybody can do it. As far as changing the direction or controlling the direction, I don't think that anybody can do that because it really just comes down to the taste, and the younger generation, the taste, they dictate the taste of the style of music that they like, but you can only tolerate garbage for so long. Even the younger generation gets sick of hearing negative, crappy, shitty lyrics and shitty guitar sounds, and eventually they end up going back and listening to classic rock and going, wow, that's where the good stuff is. And then they derive from that.
Right. So do you guys, do you have a release date for your new CD?
Yeah, we're gonna have this thing out in June.
Okay.
We're gonna be mastering and mixing in March and April, and we're gonna have it out in June.
Great. And what are your the tours plans? Have you started nailing anything down for the tour?
We're going to Europe. We already have a few European festivals that are really huge, like the Download Festival, which used to be the Donington Festival.
Okay.
We're booked on that. We're going to Italy and doing a big metal festival there in support of the new album.
Okay, all right.
And you know, if you would have asked me in December or January if this would have really happened, I wouldn't have been able to say.
Really?
But now, today, in February, I'm completely confident.
You're feeling it.
I'm feeling it. This record is in the final lap and it's rocking. You just heard a taste of it.
It's great. I mean, it's fabulous.
It's the record came together, and the only way that the only way that could have happened is for us to get away to Virginia for those 2 short weeks and
wow, what a difference.
Write the songs.
Nice.
Because it comes down to songs and the core of the material being songs.
Right, absolutely.
It's like a comedian is not going to be funny if he doesn't have any good jokes.
Exactly.
Same kind of thing. It comes down to the material.
And so what do you, so basically, obviously, this album that you're putting out now for you, what you're trying to say is just that you're taking all your creativity and your wisdom and you're kind of just making everything concise and just, coming out with a nice, simple, just, straightforward, really, really killer tone rock music, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back to our
crunchy
roots
stuff.
and crunchy stuff, back to our roots, back to our first and second albums type of feeling.
It does have that feel.
Not overthinking it.
Right.
Writing lyrics that are just easy to understand and just from the heart.
Right. Now, you guys are you producing this yourself too?
Yes,
okay.
We're producing this with Tom Zutaut.
Okay.
Co-producing it. Tom Zutaut it has been in our lives for 30 years. He worked at Geffen Records. He was responsible for our first 2 albums and really doing what they did and helping us create those. And so we brought him back in to help us create this one. He's helped us create our best albums, to be honest with you.
Really?
Reel to Reel, Mechanical Resonance, Radio Controversy. And so he's our sounding board. He'll sit in here and we'll be playing something and we'll think it's no good and he'll go, wait a minute, that was good. Let's just keep that.
So do you think, okay, so that's actually just touched on something that's kind of interesting too, but I mean, if you just being in the studio, like listening to things over and over and over, you were talking about not overthinking it.
Right.
And so sometimes it's good to have somebody who's like not biased to stand back and...
Absolutely.
And catch you.
There's two, in music and making music, and you were talking about younger artists or whatever, there's 2 sides to it. There's listening and there's performing. And they're 2 totally different things that you have to develop. And is your battery going dead?
No, it's doing my navigation thing for some stupid reason.
Are we still recording?
No, yeah, it is. Sorry about
See?
that.
GPS signal lost.
Thank you.
Technology's taking over.
I know.
When someone is just in the project, on the team of the producing as a recording or whatever, as a listener, the producer is usually the listener. And then you got the guitar player who's playing the guitar. Sometimes, or the singer, will sing or play the part and maybe make a mistake or do something spontaneous and not realize they did it. But the listener is hearing it and go, oh, wow, that was interesting. So it helps that to have both of those players on the team.
Right. Who do you think, as far as like looking back over your whole career or whatever, who do you think's been the biggest influence or made the biggest influence on you as far as on the whole, just like creatively, period? Not necessarily like a guitar player or whatever, but what do you think has been the biggest influence or help to you?
Biggest?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, I would just maybe, if I had to go way back to the very beginning, it would have probably been my mom. Taking me to a movie when I was 10. She took me to see the Monterey Pop Festival movie.
Cool.
It was playing at the J Street Cinema.
I think that was the first album I ever had too.
And it had Otis Redding, and then when Jimi Hendrix played Wild Thing and played the guitar, and ways that were just like so sensual and mind-blowing. And then he burned it and set it on fire. For me as a 10-year-old kid sitting in a movie theater watching that, just like that. And you know, it was, my mom was a hippie, you know, so when I was young and we had a really crazy household, and she taught me just to be free, and but at the same time I had to work for everything. And we didn't have any, we were broke, so we didn't have any money or anything. So if I wanted a guitar, I had to work for it. So between my mom and my grandma and my stepdad teaching me how to work and not give up, you know, like if I wanted to earn $100, I had to mow lawns for a month, you know what I mean? And so that work ethic mixed with the free lifestyle of the 70s and going to see a Jimi Hendrix movie with my mother, that was probably it.
Cool. So have you guys already decided which, like on the new album, have you decided like which ones are going to be the singles that are going to come out? Do you know which one's going to be the first?
No, we don't really think about singles anymore because, like we talked about, it's a whole different world in music. And, you know, let's face it, I mean, you know, radio and everything has changed so much that we're not really thinking about singles. I mean, we obviously have some songs on the record that are more of our favorites that sound more like maybe could be in a movie. We're actually thinking more about movies than we are singles anymore.
Okay, good to know.
And we have a song called Life is a River, or it could be called Let It Flow. We haven't decided on the title yet, that we feel could definitely be in a movie.
Okay.
So we're looking at that more than anything else.
Okay. So, and you were talking about as far as like when the album comes out, if people wanted to get a physical copy of the new CD, they would go to your website, you said, correct?
They would go to our website, no, but what I said was they would come to our shows.
Okay, go to the shows. Okay, great. And so this is going to be released as a physical copy through your shows, but also like through iTunes or digitally, right?
It'll be on iTunes and all those things, yeah. And our website, TESLAtheband.com. You know, we still have all of that and everything, but the best way to get it is to come to the shows. And we're going to do a tour supporting this record all through next year.
Yeah, okay, okay, good. And that's U.S., Europe, the whole bit, right?
Yeah, it'll be starting in Europe, actually.
Great. Cool. So, do you want to play another track?
Yeah, I got to give me a minute to set it up.
Okay, absolutely.
I don't know what this is going to sound like, but
Let's fire it up again.
let me just kind of, this one's going back way old school.
Okay.
Let me just kind of set this mix up, 19 and 20. It's still kind of rough, so.
Well, if that's what your version of rough, boy, I can't wait to hear the finished product.
JK's on 20.
Oh
yeah, that's what it says. Okay, let's see what this sounds like.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's all right. The acoustic is on 20. What? 23. Okay. I don't know what this is going to sound like, so it'll take me a minute to dial it in.
That's okay. Killer guitar tone again.
Right on, thanks.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That was called MP3.
Okay. And your voice sounds like it's still in stellar shape.
Well, thanks. Well, those are scratch vocals, very scratchy vocals, but
Well, they weren't very scratchy. I think
No.
they're pretty good.
Well, thanks.
You've always been one of
Thanks,
my
Kat.
favorite singers, actually.
Well, thank you.
You have a great tone. So,
Appreciate that.
what is, do you have a favorite song on the album yet?
There's a lot of different feels. It all depends on what kind of feel you're talking about, but MP3, Ricochet, a couple of the tunes you heard. I mean, once again, titles of songs, I call it Let It Flow. Some people might call it Life is a River, and it may turn out to be something else. So as far as titles go, it's kind of hard to give you the title of a track. I don't even know what number it is on the record, but if it even makes a record. But yeah, quite a few little favorites.
Great, great. Now, Frank was saying, too, that you guys took a break before you started recording, and you went back to Virginia. Does this kind of get, that's like a, I don't know, little, just break from the normal action or whatever? And he said that when you came back, that everybody the whole thing came together. How do you think that happened for you?
Well, I think to go to Virginia helped us to get away from all the distractions that home can have. And nothing against home sweet home is the best, but no, we went out to Tom's Utah's place there in Virginia, and it was great to get away. And like I said, just no distractions, and really just everybody's energy went into writing songs, and we think it turned out great.
Right. Do you like going on the road? I mean, do you like being on the road? Because a lot of people do, and
once I get out there, I love it.
I bet.
It's always hard to leave home, but once you get on on that bus, wheels start rolling, and you just get into the flow of things. A lot of times, I'll be honest with you, I don't know where we're going, and I have people, relatives, friends, or whatever saying, "I'll see you next month," and so and so, and I'm like, "Cool, I'll be there," because my feelings are, as long as them guys hand me that microphone and that button's on, I'm giving it my best no matter where I go.
Right.
No offense to anybody, anywhere.
Right.
And so, but yeah, I enjoy performing.
Good. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thanks. Been a pleasure talking with you, and I wish you the best of luck with your album and also on the road, too.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. The pleasure of talking with Dave Rude in the studio here in Sacramento. And the last time I talked to you, you were actually in the process of making The Key, your solo album, correct?
Yeah.
And now here you are back in the studio doing the Tesla.
That's it, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's like the last year been like for you guys? I mean, you guys went to Virginia for a while, right? You took a break and started writing the album?
Twice we went out to Virginia and just did, pretty intensive just writing sessions with nothing to do but write. It was really, really fun and super productive. So, we come into the game like pretty well prepared this time.
Really?
Songs are already there, for the most part. Whereas, it's not always been that way. Sometimes you have to kind of write them as you're going in the studio. But this time, we've got the core of a lot of songs already sussed out and demoed up before we've even come in here to start recording. So definitely has helped a lot. And then we can kind of just focus on getting good performances and good tones and all that.
Right. Yeah, Frank played a couple of the cuts, and your guitar tone is killer. Both of you guys, you compliment each other a lot. And just like, the tone you guys have, it sounds really, really good. And he was like telling me it was a rough mix. I was like, you're kidding.
Oh yeah, it's all pretty rough now. But
it didn't sound like
we spent time getting tones that would match and kind of work on certain styles of songs. So we're always kind of prepared because we've got tons of amps in there.
Right. So do you guys all kind of help out as far as like the production? I mean, is everybody pretty involved, or does one guy take the lead, or?
We've all done it a bunch, so we kind of know what we want. But I don't know. It's kind of collaborative all around, you know. So yes and no.
Yes and no. Yeah. So do you have a favorite song so far?
Probably Sympathy, which maybe by the time this interview's up, people will know what that means.
Well, we've talked about that a bit, so that's kind of what we're deciding at this point. But yeah, that was a good one.
It's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
But that's other cool thing is that it's hard to pick one.
Right.
So I'll take that as a good song. If it's hard to pick a favorite song, even though I'm, in the band.
Right, absolutely.
But yeah, Sympathy is a cool one. Rise and Fall is a cool one. It's not that one. You know, once people hear the record, I think people are gonna be pretty surprised by that one because it still sounds like Tesla, but that song in particular doesn't sound like Tesla, like anything Tesla's ever done. So it's kind of weird. It's a mix. It's not like completely out of left field, but it's totally different than anything that's been on a Tesla record, which doesn't make sense on paper. But when you hear
it does. Yeah, it makes sense. It does make sense. And on this one, as far as your playing goes, I mean, did you change anything up this time more so than you have on like other albums you played on, or are you just sticking basically just straightforward?
No, just go. You know, play as much as you can before coming in, and I worked out the leads more this time in advance, just so I kind of have a better idea, make them more like songs within songs and kind of more melodic and hooky and stuff instead of just improvising. Which I've done both in the past, but I usually am happier when I have at least a general guideline of how I want a lead to go, or even completely everything note for note. So that's probably the only difference, is that I've pretty much made, so far, almost every lead I've done I've written out beforehand in practice.
Right.
But that said, I'm way happier with the leads this time, so I think it was a good thing. That doesn't mean they're boring and like mechanical. And normally when people say that, I think, oh great, they're gonna suck. But no, it's a good thing.
Right. Years ago, starting out when you started your career, did you ever have any idea that your career was going to go this long? And do you just have the success that you do? I mean, do you have any idea?
I don't know. I mean, I always hope so, you know?
Yeah.
I joined Tesla like 8 years ago, which is a long time, but as far as like a career, it's still not that long. So I'm definitely excited to keep going. And I'm always really grateful to have any kind of career in music and be able to make a living doing it. So that, especially these days, is so rare. And so, I guess I was always, I don't know, hopeful for it. Yeah. I mean, I kind of was planning on it, not in an arrogant way, just like that was all I ever wanted to do.
Right.
So that was kind of my plan from the get-go. Joining a band that was already established was never ever my plan. That was the left field thing, but it's been great and it worked out, you know.
Now, do you like nowadays it's like with all the MP3 digital, that kind of thing, do you like having more control over like the production and that kind of thing than people did before, or I mean, is it more creative for you that way? Or?
I think so. I never was around for the old way, but hearing about it my whole life, it always sounded like a drag, having to deal with some big machine record label telling you what to do and all that, which is like a myth now. I mean, that shit doesn't exist.
It doesn't, right.
No one cares. Even the big labels and like big artists can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Because the labels don't really have any power anymore. So I could imagine that it's better now, but it's all I've ever known. Everything I've ever done has been independent.
See, I know you're young, but I didn't think you were that young.
Well, no, it's not. It's just that I was never on like a big major label. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never like had a deal in the '80s and lost it or some shit like half the people you meet backstage. So I think it's pretty cool. The downside is that there's so many bands that it's hard to stand out, and it's hard for new bands to make any kind of noise. You know, that's the good thing about the machine back then, is that it could put a new band on the map. The ones that deserved to had that upper hand, where, I mean, yeah, some shitty ones got up there too, but now even the bands that should be huge household names aren't ever going to be. They'll have a little niche, and if they're lucky they can sell 1,000 tickets, but there's not going to be another fucking Coldplay. You know what I mean? Right. Because they came out when it was still, the machinery was still working. Right. And I don't think, and that's pop music. I mean, for a rock band, there's like really, I mean, there's not like there's no hope for a career. It's just no hope for multi-platinum millionaire Ferraris and fucking, cover Rolling Stone for a rock and roll band anymore. That's my theory. Right.
Have you guys picked out a song? Do you know what song you're going to do for like a video?
No,
we're going to do
yet.
We don't know yet.
Not yet, but like I said, we're kind of all having trouble picking our favorites. So.
That's a good, you know what? That's a good problem to have.
That's a good song.
Which one do we like the best? We don't know. We like them all.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure talking with you, and can't wait to see you on tour, and can't wait to hear the album. You guys will love it. His guitar tone is to die for. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.